Welcome to Buckland USD 459 Professional Development Series, and this part is FERPA and student data. You may be asking, what is FERPA? It is the Family, Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It is a federal law that protects the confidentiality of students' education records. FERPA applies to all schools that receive federal funding for any program administered by the Department of Education. And that means us. What does FERPA protect? Anything that's directly related to a student that is personally identifiable information and is maintained by an educational agency or institution, and that would be us, USD 459. So that would mean students' names and addresses, and even as they refer to their families, social security number, student ID number, any information that makes them traceable or easily identified. And also identifiers like their date of birth, place of birth, even mother's maiden name. And recently, it's been added to biometric records like fingerprints and handwriting, iris scanning, things along that nature. What it doesn't protect is anything that's not considered educational records. Teacher notes that you need anecdotal records, things that you may want to write down for the substitute, anything records of law enforcement unit of the educational institute, such as the campus security office, and then medical or psychological records of students who is at least 18 years of age and who's attending a post-secondary institution. FERPA was enacted in 1974, and since then our world has changed. It has become very digital. What we need to be sure of as a school district is about our vendors. We need to be careful with our vendors, that they're the vendors that we may use that house information, or we use as a website that collecting data, that it is appropriate, because it is still our responsibility to protect those students. We need to know when to release and withhold records, and then we always need to be cautious about what we tell to whom. When we talk about old records, many of our school districts have been in existence for a while and keeping records of students, and FERPA does not require educational agencies and institutions to destroy educational records maintained as a part of the regular school or agency operations. And many jurisdictions require longer retention periods for students' attendance and graduation records. New situations have come up in our world, like health concerns like a pandemic or any type of campus violence. In the event of these and any of the outbreaks, the school could legally share students' education records with designated personnel and law enforcement officers. Also in this day and age, because of transportation and because of travel, we may have exchange students or maybe even undocumented students. There is no exemption to FERPA that grants officers and agents access to student information. Unless there's an issue concerning a student who has overstayed her visa, the ICE would not be able to make inquiry or seek access and undocumented students' records. Also, in the day and age of digital cameras, a recording would not be considered directly related to a student if a student's image is simply indicated to the activity. Also, there are some exceptions. In the following, FERPA does allow schools to disclose the following records without consent. However, it is very encouraged to let the parents know, and the following parties are under the following circumstances. And then you, as a teacher, and what you need to remember and keep in mind with FERPA. because our world has become increasingly digital and access to the internet, it's very important that any type of technology or website that we use in the classroom is not asking for information of a child that is out of the bounds of FERPA. Also, we need to make sure that any data or information that we have on students is placed in a secure location. And also, when we communicate with the adults in our students' lives, we need to make sure that the communication we have with those adults is appropriate and the proper people are being communicated with. Thank you for your time in this short presentation about FERPA and student data.